Welcome back. This is Jay Banks, and what I'm going to be talking about is the Department of State. It's about visas, and what you're going to be looking for is this website. So you have to give a pen and paper or write this down. This is about immigration, United States Citizenship and Naturalization and Immigration Services. But my blog is called Texas Immigration Services, basically because I live in Texas. Here is what you need to know about the visas. There's a priority date. Search for the priority date within the website to find out when and where your visa is going to activate and when it's going to arrive to you. You can always check the case study at uscis.gov, or you can call me to have that done for you. But you just simply need to pay the PayPal, which is $5. Here is what you need to know. The Department of State has a number of items that you can search through. One of them is the passport. One of them is a visa. These are travel documents. Now, mainly the Department of State focuses on traveling between the United States and other countries if you are an immigrant or if you're trying to immigrate someone into the United States. That's just those two items. So, you can also use a passport to exit the United States and go into a different country. Okay, and then USCIS has its own travel document that you can use to travel between your country and our country and come back to your processing if it's needed. So here we go. There are a number of visas within the United States that you can use to come here to the United States. One of those is the travel visa called the tourist visa. Now, there are two types of this visa. One of them actually allows you to travel as a tourist, while the other one allows you to travel on business. They're almost the same, it's just that you can't work with the tourist visa while you're in the United States. So, what I intend to do is give you a link and a description to where you can actually go and look at these visas. There's a lot of them. There is another one that's easy to get into, and that is the R visa. That's the religious worker. It allows you to enter the United States under religious circumstances. And then there is what's called I believe it's called a dual citizenship visa. And this is actually a document, it's not a visa. And it allows you to get dual citizenship from one of the neighboring countries. And it allows you to travel between the United States and here. So those are the particular documents that we're going to discuss today. The actual dual citizenship visa is actually a card, and it allows you to travel between the border. So we're going to call that a border pass. Okay, so this is what you'll need to know. You're going to use the border pass between here and Canada. Now, this is the only border pass that I know of so far. I'll do a little bit more research so I can help you on that. But you can get dual citizenship between the United States and Canada and be able to pass through this area with this border pass without having a passport. So technically it is a passport. It also allows you to work in the United States. Okay, so now that you know that, let's go back to the actual document, the actual department that we're talking about, which is the Department of State. As I said before, there are a number of items within the Department of State that would allow you to do what you need to do here and get it done so that you won't have a problem later on. Now, some of these require renewals. One of these is the Health and Human Services Department, and the other is the Social Security Office, which is the SSA. Okay, but the Health and Human Services Department is separate from the Department of State, even though it falls within that category. So now, here's what you need to know, because there's the Department of State and the Department of Local Services. All right, so you got the DMV and all those items such as that. And of course, every city is going to have at least one DMV office and have a setup of offices that will allow you to get what you need to have done. You just simply need to do some research. All right, so here's where your research can stop. You can just come to people like me, which are registered within the Selective Service, and the Selective Service is where you are registered within within a number of these departments, basically. And I'm registered with a lot of them. So here's what you need to know. You have the Department of State, and so far we're going to focus on visas. The next visa category well, let's just start off by saying that each visa has a letter by them. And each visa allows you to enter the United States in some kind of way. There's a fiance visa. There is also a visa that allows you to travel between one country and the next country who are not allies. So this is what you need to know about that. We'll just call that asylum. Okay? All of these fall within the state and within the USCIS departments. Okay? So we're talking about the Department of Immigration and Naturalization Services. If we're going to be talking about anything from Mexico to the United States, and anything from Canada to the United States using a visa is called a border pass. Okay, with Mexico is different. You actually have to have a passport. There is a way to travel between the Mexico and the United States using a passport, but you have to acquire it from from the Department of State. I do apologize for that. You have to acquire it from the Department of State. Now, let me explain that each department has federal officers, and government officials or government agents in such a way that they already have this knowledge and are trained and ready to go to help you get to where you need to go. So, here's what you need to know. There are at least 20 some odd visas. As I said before, I'm going to leave a link. As a matter of fact, I will start now. The link is called state.gov/travel. And as I said before, each visa has a priority date. So you need to have your self in a situation where you're checking your priority date and your case study as many times as you can possibly do it. Remember that some of these documents will process within 3 months and some will process within 6 months. All right, so let's go ahead and discuss the priority date. And the priority date is a date where you actually filed for your particular document. The document itself will be in processing, and what will happen is that when you file for this particular document, you basically have to go to the Department of State's website. You're going to be looking under the priority dates. And when you get onto the priority dates, there's going to be a number of items there. It's like a chart that says state, school, business, family, all of these sorts of things, including countries and cities. All right? So here's what you need to know. When you are entering in information for people to come and live within the United States, you're going to be searching under the certain areas such as family, and then you're going to cross-reference it with the actual priority date of the city and country that you're coming from. Most likely it's going to be the country. A good example would be, I guess, from Europe. We'll say just Europe. It may not be accurate, but we'll say Europe. Okay, you're going to cross-reference it with Europe, and then look and see how many more months it will take for the actual document to process. Once it does that, then you go and you check your priority date. Go to uscis.gov or call me, and we will check the case study for you. And what will happen is we'll give you a short detail as to what the actual or how long the actual visa will take to process. Now, it is not actually that difficult to acquire a visa. You just simply need to pass the Fed before anything else happens. Okay? Um, the federal government will always review these documents and make sure that you're safe to enter into the United States. One of those will be a test for your blood or blood work, something of that nature. They will do these things such as vaccine and something of that nature. This is called a DNA test, or this will be viral inspection or something of that nature. So I'll go ahead and review this bit of information. As I said before, most of this is found on the USCIS website, and I hope you are able to enter the United States with your visa. And be aware that visas are hard to get. They're easy to obtain, but they're hard to get because there's a list of people that are allowed to do that. And then there is the other list, which are easy to get. As I said before, those are tourist visas and the religious worker. There's also the border pass. So you've got all of those. I don't want you to get confused with those two particular issues. So some of the visas are hard to get and some of them aren't. So you now know which ones are and which one aren't. Okay? The actual visa registration is what takes a long time to get. Some, depending on the country, will allow you to get into the country as fast as you can. Let me go ahead and review the information. It's refugee and asylum. This is also a part of the Department of State and the Department of Immigration and Naturalization. The asylum situation, you'll have to start from USCIS, and of course you have to go past the federal officers in order to get into the United States, because asylum is very special. You're seeking a situation to where you're running from the country, fleeing from the country because of prosecution of something of that nature. But as I said before, you have to pass that inspection, and before that happens. The other bit of information is the actual refugee. This is different. Most likely they're going to be countries or islands within the area. So they are basically put in a situation where we're helping another country or island obtain a status within the United States, and sometimes it's temporary. The next thing you need to know is that there is the religious worker. As I said before, you have a number of visas within the religious worker that you can obtain. There's the R visa, and it's for a particular religion that you're in. Most of these are study, most of these are missionary, something of this nature. So the religious worker visa, Some of them will say RW, some of them will say R. What you'll need to do is find a way to enter the United States by using this visa if you're in the religious category. The only problem is it's that the religious worker is actually a person who's already working for the religion based on the church or that they're going to, basically. Okay, so this is how that happens. Now, in some cases, you will enter as a religious worker, and there will be already a compound ready with your religious team ready to get started on what they need to have done. This is where Health and Human Services comes in. All right. So that's all the bit of information that I can provide you. I hope you are able to get what you need successfully here in the United States. Those are the visas here in the Department of State. And as I said before, it's search through the visas before you contact one of the websites, and then go over what you know you are, and then go from there. Thank you for calling. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Goodbye.